First time doing this. All right, we're live. This is
All right.
exciting. Just gotta wait for the people to come.
Yeah. I mean, we can start talking now. As people
Okay.
flood in, they
Okay,
can go back and watch, which is
that makes
exciting.
sense. Okay. So
Uh,
we have Kova Therion Gnosis here with me today.
yeah, I have a show with a lovely individual named Curtis Joseph. It's called Gnosis, where we talk about Gnosis, right? And, you know, mysteries of the universe, deeper mysteries, inner mysteries, outer mysteries, just mysteries about knowledge. And, Gnosis is divine knowledge that we receive from the universe and other various sources, which are extensions of the universe, which in all reality, as we realize, are just extensions of ourselves because, everything in the macrocosm is just a representation for microcosm. So,
Yep.
yeah. So I'm having a talk with myself today if you really want to get down to it, right?
For sure, right? Well, yes and no, but
Well, I mean, if everything is an extension of the self, right?
it's true.
That's like some like that if you really start thinking about that stuff, you can go down the rabbit hole. But that's how you start to approach what's referred to as God consciousness, where you start realizing that there is only the one and the separation of those things start disappearing. And that's a really wild experience.
Because yeah, some people are just basically saying hello, so showing
Oh,
some love.
welcome.
I'm just basically gonna highlight the comments that I guess are more,
Yeah,
what I'm saying, like nuggets of something that actually be conducive towards our conversation today.
right.
You know?
So if you guys really want to get involved, you give us nuggets and we will eat them like they're from McDonald's, just so
Yeah.
so get them and get involved. It's going to be really exciting. Uh, so we had a plan to talk today about spirits, is my
That's
understanding.
right. Mm-hmm.
And like originally, you were talking to me about how to deal with baneful spirits that come after you, that because it's a little different than just typical baneful magic.
It's
At
true.
least, at least that's the perception. But what when you start to really contemplate the nature of how the universe works, right? Being there's internal processes, and then we understand that spirits are just individuals without bodies.
Right.
They're intelligences and their thought forms that don't have a physical form. So dealing with a baneful spirit that's coming after you is very little difference between dealing with a person who's casting at you, except the rules are slightly different because those people can't just walk into your house and start tossing things around and be
Right.
rude, right? Um, I have a house ghost, actually. From time to
Interesting.
time, this house ghost likes to toss things off my counters.
Wow.
And I remember once my I had a roommate who was Christian at the time, and she was sitting at the kitchen table, and I was walking through the around the island past the counter, and as soon as I passed the counter, everything that was stacked on top of the microwave, we had some pots and pans there that we hadn't put up yet, and it's like someone had slapped down on it and it flipped up into the air and spun and landed behind me and crashed as
Wow.
soon as I walked past it. And there were a few instances like before that where a toaster got thrown off the counter and stuff. And what's
Oh.
really interesting is nothing ever gets broken when these things happen. Like you get like mason jars that fly off the counter and they just bounce, bop, 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 bop. And so this entity is disruptive, but not destructive.
Right.
Like there is a big difference between a disruptive entity and a destructive entity.
Right.
Whereas, like, there, I have a client whose sister was struggling with some ghost activity, and this thing knocked a mirror off, and it nearly hit her nephew. But the issue is If that entity really wanted to hurt that child, it wouldn't have done it in a way where the parent would have been able to intercept that mirror.
Correct. Yeah, I agree with you.
Um, and also, in a different part of the house, a clock had fell at the exact same time and broke and stopped working. So, what we see more often than not is we see that there is a commonality of this entity trying to communicate something, right?
Right.
Now, I know this because people will think, well, there's a ghost in my house, I have to get rid of it. Then they will try to get rid of the spirit. Now, let me ask you a question, Maurizio.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Ritz. Sorry, I used your name.
Yes.
We didn't talk about the protocol. I know Mr. Ritz for a little while now, but as it works, you live somewhere and somebody moves in and ignores you 24/7. Doesn't talk to you, doesn't offer you any food, doesn't help you out or anything. And then when you try to talk to them, they try to evict your ass. How are you going to feel about that?
I think a little bit angry, right?
Right. We see these things where people try to rid themselves of spirits and things just get much, much worse when the spirit beforehand was just benign and a slight minor inconvenience.
But we still got to talk about the layers to this because there could be a spirit that's sent to
Right.
destroy. You know what I'm saying? There's so many layers to
Right.
this too.
I mean, we're going to get to that, but ultimately, 9 times out of 10, if you have like a house ghost, it could just be the spirit that's attached to your house and you're not
Because of
treating
the
it.
land, right? Basically, and
Right.
other things, right? Yeah.
The land spirit. Because in Norse mythology and the Norse pagan pathway, everything has a spirit. You have a land wight, and then you have a house wight. And the house wight's supposed to help you with your house. And Thursdays, it's day off. And if you don't take care of it on Thursday, then it can kind of get upset with you and start tossing things. Um,
Mm.
so we have to understand that sometimes these spirits are manifestations of things that we're not doing and not taking care of.
Okay.
But you're right. Sometimes things do get sent after you. Sometimes we go somewhere and we'll pick something up because it wants to eat, right?
Yeah.
And things can latch on. And part of protecting yourself from entities is having proper spiritual hygiene,
Right.
right? If you aren't shielding and if you're not grounded and you're not centering your energy and you're not taking care of that, you become a very easy target for parasitic entities.
Mm.
If you're working with astral travel and things of that nature, and you're not doing the proper steps to keep yourself safe, you very easily will pick something up. Now, I don't have too much of an issue with this because I always try to keep myself grounded and centered. I always try to make sure I'm shielded. I'm always trying to keep up on my spiritual hygiene. And I have certain relationships with other spirits that look after me. And I do these things. And these things, for the most part, say like 90%, 99% of the time, will keep parasitic entities away from me. And I don't have to worry about that. So they're not feeding off my specific energy force. But sometimes entities will mess around with my mundane life because they can't mess with my internal life.
Mm.
And but if you take care of that internal process, because the external is just a manifestation of your internal reality.
Right.
So we have to do these things that are necessary to take care of our insides first.
Right.
Because doing charms and totems and amulets and warding, all that is classified as low magic.
Right.
And that is just worried about the material plane of manifestation. That's
Right.
not that's not dealing with the mechanic at work of dealing with this entity very specifically. And that's where high magic and ritual comes into play.
Okay.
Of when you make an array, for instance, when you in like the banishing ritual of the pentagram or even the banishing ritual of the hexagram, you're supposed to trace out these symbols, right? But
Yeah.
they're very specific as to what the starting point is and what the end points are and where you're going. And what people often don't realize is you're piercing energy centers and activating energy centers by dragging this energy across those very specific points.
Hmm.
So you're activating the spheres of the Sephiroth, or the Sephira, and you're activating these energies in a very specific pattern that move things around in order to manifest what you're looking to do.
Right.
That's why in Earth Invocation Pinnacle, if you are invoking the powers of Earth, start at a very specific point with a very specific direction.
Right.
Versus, same thing with banishing, because you're moving those energies through its proper spheres in order to manifest what you're wanting to have happen. And that in turn will impact your processes that are happening here on the material plane.
Right.
If that makes at all any sense, that's
Kind of that whole macrocosm, microcosm thing, right? Sort of.
exact. That's what I primarily focus on. Okay. And that's Kabbalistic teaching. That's Kabbalah. That is looking at the universe as a whole and trying to make sure that you're taking care of your inner universe, because that's how you manifest real change in your life. As where low magic focus has a very heavy focus on mundane life. If you look at what we're doing with, like, say, love spells or divination, we're worried about here in the corporeal plane.
Right.
Looking here at this ground floor versus high magic, where we're looking up to the heavens and internally into the celestial processes within us.
Mm.
And there's nothing wrong with one or the other. It's just having an appropriate understanding of what these processes are and what's the purpose of these processes. And once you start to kind of grasp that these entities in your life, to an extent, right? When the microcosm, macrocosm debacle, right? As above, so below, as within, so without.
Yeah.
We start seeing very specifically that these entities are manifestations of your will and your consciousness. Same thing with people.
Okay.
Human beings. And because of the whole concept of a holographic universe, and we're each an individual universe intersecting with each other, thus creating a multiverse within itself. And in the Book of the Law, it talks about every man and every woman as a star. If you look at the concept of the holographic universe and how holograph is made, which are individual points of light,
okay,
then it starts painting a picture of what we're seeing is right now, every person who's watching this and will watch this, and you and myself, we're each an individual universe that's intersecting to create this moment of perception on every person's individual part.
Yeah.
So, dealing with spirits, that's why certain rituals work very, very well.
Right.
And because when you do ritual, high magic to deal with something, we're infecting that internal process that is manifesting those destructive forces in our life.
So again, we're kind of going towards the whole like everything that's conflicting is because something within ourselves internally is at odds with ourselves. How, hence, the inner perception becomes outwards.
Yes.
Right? Okay, I've heard about this concept before too. So
I
yeah.
mean, it can be very, very hard to grasp if you've never approached the idea before. It is one of those things that you have to have an understanding that supersedes regular mundane human consciousness. You have to elevate your consciousness into superhuman consciousness, demigod consciousness, as you're approaching God consciousness. And that is something that the Rosicrucians talk about very extensively,
Interesting.
is the 7 layers of consciousness and the 7 layer body. And the thing is, as you approach God consciousness, the you disappears. You become nothing.
Right.
And some might say this journey of magic is to be able to assimilate with the source of everything, to understand the depths of the universe, and to be able to become one with the one mind, the one
Right.
consciousness, to embodiment that source as much as possible, versus how you'll see people who their main primary goal is to gain power and influence and money and things of that nature.
Mm.
And so they have, since they have all this hate and resentment, they're going to send baneful spirits
Okay.
because that is a manifestation of their internal process. They're doing a magic that is affecting others negatively.
But then you're basically saying that if they're affecting other people, they're affecting themselves. In theory, if we're going to go really
Yes,
technical, right?
absolutely. When we harm others, we only harm ourselves in the long run.
Right.
Now, we can refer to that as like karmic debt, reaping what you sow, things of that nature, right?
Mm.
These law of attraction, if you're hurting people, you're going to draw people that will hurt you because like draws to like.
Okay.
And like for instance, I have been taking steps to better myself, to elevate my consciousness. And in the process, I have upset some people, right?
This is how I put this here because he's saying what's up. He's showing some
Hey,
love.
hey, what is up? Well, we are talking about how to deal with spirits, and really, before I talk too heavily about how to deal with them, I'm wanting to paint a proper picture about why we have to deal with them.
You
Okay. Um, I know it's a long journey, Ritz, but
know.
we're going to get there. Um,
Yeah.
a situation where I had a client that was upset with me, and because my business structure is changing, because it needs to change, because I have to change, I have to grow, I have to evolve. I can't just stay in the same crap that I'm in.
Yeah, you can't stay stagnant. We all have to change or evolve, or it'll be made for us in some aspect or
Right.
another. You
Become or be crushed.
know. Yeah.
Right. So rise or fall. So I chose, you know what? I'm going to shed some shadow because I was thinking I was doing a noble service by trying to pick up people who were in certain situations.
Mm.
And I got confronted with this thing of I want to rescue victims because I feel like a victim myself. And I'm robbing myself of opportunities to be valued.
Right.
And when I informed this person, like, listen, as of August, my structure is changing. This person, all of a sudden, it's like, well, I wish I would have spent the money for July on something else now. And what kind of attitude is that?
It's an ungrateful, selfish attitude, of
Well,
course, you know.
it goes into this concept of your growth isn't worth your time and money.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at, this is something that Christians say all the time. You know a lot about a person, but where they spend their time and where they spend their money.
I would
And
take it another way farther than that and more close up of the whole you shall know them by their fruit. You know what I'm saying?
right, absolutely. And this individual then went on a whole tirade of slandering me on social media. And I knew this person from a long time ago and put a lot of my personal information out there. And then some of these other customers that I had, these other clients, these other people I was trying to help for the same reason of they had been taken advantage of, and I was offering my services at a really, really unreasonably low amount because I thought I was doing something noble. They all turned on me too. And it really opened my eyes that these people, their situations are because truly of their internal processes as well.
Yeah, it's like their own fault that they're in the situations they're in, right?
Right. And it's one of those things of, well as I do, Mr. Ritz,
Yeah.
that if we want something, it don't matter what the price is, we're
Yeah.
going to go after it. Like, we have to be smart to an extent and make sure that what we're going to purchase is going to be worth it, right?
Yeah.
But we know first and foremost, as long as we do our homework and the individual is reputable, you know what? How can you put a price? And this is a big thing.
Yeah.
What me and you do, right, is
Yeah.
we bend the fabric of space and time.
Hell yes.
What I do is I give individuals the opportunity to learn how to be fucking Jedis, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know that's like a fantasy representation, but I am teaching people to be able to how to master their universe, basic fundamental practices that will carry them into more advanced practices. And
Right.
I'm sorry, if you don't even know how to ground and center, I'm starting you off with breath work. I don't care. You can pay me however much money you want, but I ain't going to teach you beyond where you're at.
Exactly.
I mean, this one person was upset because I had him started on breath work. Well, I'm sorry, but you ain't ready for more.
Exactly.
We have to be
And
ready.
they might hurt themselves through the irresponsibility of you not teaching the basics before they're ready for that advanced notion.
Right.
You know?
So we look at, again, these things that are representations of ourselves in our world. So if you have a destructive entity that is messing with your, say, relationship,
Right.
what is happening inside of you to open up that door?
To leave the opening is what you're saying, basically,
Right.
right? Yeah.
So, and then through us doing work, we can fix those things by adjusting the frequencies that we're on.
So how would you go about that? I'm just curious.
Well, we have to really, first and foremost, be really fucking brutally honest with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Ask yourself, if magic had nothing to do with it, what's wrong with my relationship?
Oh, geez. Yeah, that makes sense.
We, as magicians and people that are involved in the occult and witchcraft, we want to make stuff way bigger than it is 90% of the time.
Yeah.
There are some things that happen, and you know immediately, yep, that was magic. That was someone doing something painful on me. We know that. But if you're fighting with your wife, it's probably because you forgot the anniversary. Or maybe it's because you weren't paying as much attention as you should. If your husband is neglecting you, maybe we should start taking a look at ourselves first, at the internal world within us.
Right.
Also, is our energy right? How is the receptacle for the energy that you're doing? Are you taking care of yourself physically?
Like eating properly, exercising, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, can you really say that you have any form of athleticism? I know very well and easily I can pick up 100 pounds off of the ground and lift it above my head with no problem right now. No problem whatsoever.
Nice.
I know I can drop down, give 30, 50 push ups straight, no issue.
Yeah.
But we look at this thing of we have to take care of our internal selves and our physical self because the earth element is just a representation of our body.
Mm.
Okay? You are
Yeah.
more prone to have energy flow freely and properly if you're moving your body, if your body's healthy, if your posture is good, if you're standing with proper posture, sitting with proper posture. You've probably seen me multiple times during this broadcast if you paid enough attention. I correct my posture every time I realize I start to slouch.
It's good.
And the reason for that is I want to stimulate my subtle metabolism. I want my energy to flow properly. I want my breath to flow properly. And you cannot deal with spiritual entities if you have all these blockages from bad habits.
Right.
Now, you can try to do some low magic manifestation stuff, like bind runes and things of that nature. But unless you do the part yourself of creating it and working with it, 90% of the time, it's going to fail because it was not generated from your internal process. Now, it's a little different if, say, you get an oil or a candle from somebody like me and Ritz here.
Okay.
If we make this candle and there is instructions followed with it, okay, what we're doing is we're giving that person a shortcut to be able to get a result, but they have to have the will and intent to work with it, right?
Right.
But if your spirit's weak and your belief is not into that, and you don't pour your energy into it, it's not going to work.
Right.
There's nothing we can do for anybody that they have to be a participant.
They have to do the work, is basically what you're saying. They have
Yeah.
to do the work at some point. They got to do the shadow work. They got to do that internal process, all that kind of
Right.
stuff. Right. Yeah.
Like in your tradition, there is a ritualistic part where a part of the ritual is taken care of by somebody else. But ultimately, you have to participate.
Oh yeah, for everything you do, at
And
some point in that you have to participate. Even though there's things that happen in a ceremony room that you're not privy to, but then yeah, you when it comes to you being presented that thing, that Orisha, whatever, yeah, there's certain processes you have to do to be present there for. There's no way around it. You have to be
right.
there. Yeah.
And now there's something about the whole fact of microcosm, macrocosm of I can do the work, and because I did such an effective work within myself that it impacts your macrocosm, where it changes parts of that.
Wow. Okay.
Right. But again, that's like a by proxy type of thing. And it's not nearly as effective as if you would do it yourself. That's why the work on the part of the practitioner that's working with somebody like me or you, they have to do stuff themselves. We can't just do it all for them. It doesn't
Yeah,
really
it's
work.
like even in core shamanism, they say, yeah, we help facilitate change for a person, but they
Mm-hmm.
have to be wanting to heal themselves. You can't do
Right.
all for them, you know. So that's
Yeah.
very
We can't fix it for you. We
yeah,
can help you learn how to fix it yourself. We can help you heal. But ultimately, if you don't want to be healed, it's kind of like Christianity faith healers, right?
okay.
Person doesn't have the belief that they're going to be healed. Because there are healings that happen in that tradition. I know some people that have actually had that. Because magic is universal, will and intent, this faith thing, right? This belief in what you're doing has such a powerful impact on how it works that people get wrapped up in like symbols and sigils and items and artifacts and talismans and amulets that they really forget that the only thing you need to be magic, the only thing that you need is will and intent. So when you're dealing with, say, a spirit, you want it to leave it alone, you want it to leave you alone, you can find that energetic tether attached to your subtle body and sever it.
Right.
Right? We've discussed this.
We have, yeah.
Privately. But it does help to have external focuses, right? Because if the microcosm affects the macrocosm, then the macrocosm can also affect changes on the microcosm. That's the whole thing of low magic, right? We do things to affect changes, but it's those changes in the ritual work that we're doing on the material plane that is causing a change in the subconscious, which then manifests changes out in our real world.
Yeah.
But so it helps. It's kind of like you want to go to the grocery store. You can walk, right? You have all the tools to get there on your own. You don't have to drive or anything, but it's nice to use the car.
Yeah, it's true.
So for divination, like tarot or runes or tea leaf gazing or palm reading or all that, you actually don't need any tools to divine. You can go off of straight intuition based off of just internal processes.
Well, I mean, we all have our own gifts, right? So you're more clairaudient, clairvoyant. They're going to know.
Right. But again, we have tools.
We do have tools, right?
Yeah. Right. So with dealing with entities, there are specific tools that come in handy.
Okay, what do you suggest?
Well, I first and foremost suggest make sure that you're physically fit, you're taking care of yourself, and you have good spiritual hygiene. That's the first and foremost. If you want to be able to deal with things.
And let's just say this for everybody, because everybody thinks opposite. Right. But sage is not the end all be all.
Right. It's not. Sage can help. Don't get me wrong. But if you don't have a proper understanding of what sage does, and if you don't have a proper will and intent put into place, if your will's not strong and your intent's not completely lined up with your will, then it's kind of like you just make the place smell like sage.
Yeah, like you're supposed to do prayer behind it. At least in native tradition, you're supposed to do prayer behind it, strong intention, state it multiple times.
Right. And I mean, there's other traditions where you burn the sage and you use a feather, right?
Right.
But people don't understand that the feather is an altar tool.
Right.
Did you know that? It represents the element
of air. Yeah, the feather is a tool. Definitely, it just gets you in the mindset.
Air represent in the macrocosm, in your inner cosmos. What does it represent? It represents your intellect.
Oh, right. It's because the air, like feather being air, intellect. Yeah.
Intellect. You are guiding that sage with your intent.
Right.
You have to have a clearly defined intent. And if your intent's not defined, and you're like, I just want to get rid of all negative energy. Okay, get rid of negative energy. Now you have this entity that has nothing but positive energy left, but he still wants to eat you. Right?
Yeah.
Because like, we want to put ties on things of negative energy, positive energy. We want to put it polarized. When in reality, there's only two types of energy. There's masculine and there's feminine. Everything else is just colored by emotions.
Yeah.
Right? So you have receptive energy and you have assertive energy. So when people talk about negative, they're talking about the polarization of what is the concept of feminine energy. So you got rid of all the feminine energy, all the dark receptive energy that's consuming and pulling in. Because we
Right.
want to feel like we're not being drawn on by things. So we get rid of negative energy or feminine energy so that we can feel more energetic because we're not having that energy pulling on us.
Right.
Right. So, so you saged to get rid of negative energy. Okay, you got rid of negative energy. You did not get the thing out of your house.
Right.
You just made it to where it is a cleaner habitat for everything that is spiritual.
Yeah, that makes
You
sense.
made it more inhabitable.
Congratulations.
Fantastic. But that's if that's what your intention is.
Right.
Right. Now we look at there's a word out there called correspondence.
Oh yeah, for
Have you
sure.
ever looked at a correspondence chart before?
I've looked up in this wonderful Llewellyn's Book of Correspondences, the orange book, if I remember correctly, which you can't find on PDF. At least I haven't been able to find it yet, unless you want to pay for it. But that's a really good book of correspondences. I personally would like to have it in my library, rather PDF or.
The best book I've seen for correspondences is Aleister Crowley's Liber 777 in Gematria except for Sephiroth. Fantastic. It's just phenomenal. Like
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it is.
You have to link me to that after this conversation, or give me the name of it. You can find it.
Man, it is phenomenal. It has herbs for every letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it has correspondences for, Qigong, and it has correspondences for Kabbalah, correspondences for Hindu practice. It's just a book of correspondences, and it's phenomenal, man. I tell
Yeah,
you.
my good friend Anya was just saying, "Well said." So,
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I try to create a vessel through energy work that can speak very clearly, right?
Yeah.
About resonance. And if you want to get rid of a spirit, you just have to create an environment within yourself,
Right.
and within the environment that spirit cannot reside. You have to change the frequency.
I agree. Yeah. So, how would you go about that?
Well, correspondences, right?
The correspondences, you said, right?
Yeah. Like, look at the, let's just use Sage as an example.
So, what you're getting, I'm guessing, is like the elemental charge behind that correspondence, because not everything is going to go away because you're using earth, or you're using fire, or you're using water.
There's not a cure all.
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree with you.
You have to practice. You have to study. You have to do the things. And then guess what? If you can't figure it out on your own, there's people like Mr. Ritz and myself who do this.
Yeah.
And the reason why sage does what it does is as you burn it, it changes the spiritual atmosphere and the frequency, because sage vibrates at a very specific frequency that does a very specific thing.
Yeah.
So when you're doing a ritual of any kind for anything, me and Mr. Ritz have had this discussion of why doesn't certain magic work? Right? Am I doing something wrong? And basically, me and you came to this conclusion after having a really good talk, because me and Ritz have really great talks.
Oh, yeah.
You change your frequency by using correspondences, so you eat specific things. You prepare yourself in a very specific way to do these
or you
things.
bathe yourself specifically to those correspondences.
And what you're doing with all these things, with these internal processes of making these decisions and carrying these things out, you're adjusting your frequency because it's happening internally. You're doing these things externally.
Well, let's go another way with a hermetic truth here. You're also preparing yourself mentally. The law of mentalism, right?
right? And
Yeah.
it's all interconnected, man. It's the Ouroboros.
Oh yeah.
Which the Ouroboros is my thing, man. I got it tattooed on me in a few places that I ain't going to mention just because I ain't going to mention it. Not because it's in a naughty place, but I don't want to talk about it. You know,
uh,
it's on my back and my shoulder. But anyways, I don't want people thinking it was in a naughty place. It would make no sense to put the Ouroboros in a naughty place.
or would
Oh,
it?
good. I guess like if the head of the snake is one place and the tail is the other. Anyway, right. Uh, but ultimately, right, if you're wanting to deal with spirits, there's many ways to do that. Talking to them is what I suggest to do first.
Okay.
Because if you try to evict a house ghost and it just wanted to be fed,
Right.
then you made an enemy out of something that could end up helping you.
True.
Because it was probably there long before you were there. And who are you to kick someone else out of their house? Just because you have this mundane contract with the government or your landlord that you have the deed to this land. Come on now.
Yeah,
Come
exactly.
on. Like, let's be courteous of the things around us and the spirits and understand that they have to exist with us and we suck a lot of the times. And they might just want to help us, but they have to get our attention.
Yeah.
Like, I don't ever advise the second that you find out you have a house ghost trying to get rid of it. That's stupid.
I think you're right because you got not everything is the same situation for everybody. Number one.
Right.
Number two, we don't know its purpose of what it's trying to accomplish, do or whatever. That's why you communicate with it. Now, I'm
Yeah.
not going to say we're gonna pull out like a Ouija board or some shit to try to talk.
No, I don't advise that. Just ask what it wants.
Yeah, as I'm saying, like ask for it and be like, give me
You
one
know,
knock, give me two knocks for no. If it
or
can be.
like, listen, I don't really have the facilities right now to understand you because if you could talk to me, you'd be
Yeah.
doing it already. But I'm letting you know that I'm open to have this conversation, and if you could just make it known to me what you want, then maybe we could work something out. And I was at a place for a while, and I picked up a spirit that's been stuck with me since. And he's going to really love that I said his name because that's all he ever wants is he wants you just to recognize that he exists.
I agree. That's how
So,
most spirits are actually. They want recognition.
yeah, his name is Armancio. And from time to time,
Or
I
man.
will have objects randomly disappear.
Oh, that's cool. Well, kind of annoying, I
I
guess.
have Armancio. I'll have, I'll have, yeah, he is a spirit of minor inconvenience. But what he does is like, I was in a room that was very clean.
Needs to be very
And
clean.
this was my bedroom. It was very clean. And I had both my socks, and I put on one sock. And then the next sock that I put is I went to go grab the other sock, and it wasn't there.
Oh shit!
And I'm like, so I looked through my entire room, which was really well put together. It was a small room. I kept it really clean.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, Armancio, give it back, please. And within 30 seconds, I felt the foot that I had my sock on get really hot, like unreasonably hot. And I looked down, I had both socks on that foot.
Crazy.
Both socks on that foot.
Crazy but impressive. I like this.
Put socks on one foot. That's not an accidental thing.
Yeah, you know.
You just don't put two socks on one foot if you're sober. I'm just saying.
That's true.
Unless it's like really cold, which it wasn't
I
really.
miss, yeah, this is very cold, you know. And you're gonna do
It
yeah.
was very hot. And I'm like, and that's just spirits have personalities, man, and they're like people that just don't have bodies.
Yeah,
And more times than not, they can be extremely reasonable.
I agree. Yeah.
I will also say, don't make deals with anything.
Mm,
You
depends.
know,
It
don't
depends.
strike contracts or pacts with
Well, if they
just
don't
any
do a pact,
spirit.
but I'd say an agreement is
Well, if you make an agreement with a spirit, you're making an energetic contract.
right. Okay, I'm listening.
And they're going to expect you to hold your end of the bargain.
Yeah.
And most spirits are just like people. You wouldn't just go into a verbal agreement with somebody just because they're a person,
Right.
which because you don't know what this person's intention is. You don't know this person.
You know what they're gonna do if you break it,
Yeah,
etc.
or who's to say that they're going to uphold their end?
Right.
So be very mindful, and everyone has a house spirit. Everyone has a house wife. Thursdays, their days off. Put out a little cup of milk for them, a little saucer of milk, right there for the house spirit.
Okay. So what are they supposed to just bring like good things, remove
They
things? What would you
will.
do?
They'll do things from helping the efficiency of your house being heated and cooled, to
Okay.
helping your house stay clean, to even like helping you find stuff, keeping
That's
stuff
cool.
organized. Like it's they're like a house elf essentially,
House elf.
and that is also okay. A master gave Bobby a sock. But yeah, I mean it's really simple. It's really straightforward. Just take care of the spirits around you, and often the spirits will take care of you. I take really good care of my land spirits. I sing to them. I give them energy. Okay. I also settle offerings. And there
Mhm.
was a person that tried to curse me, and it was real basic magic. And I was walking my land one day, and I saw a chipmunk that had fallen over dead. It was fully intact. There was nothing wrong with it physically. It was just dead on my yard. And because I take care of my land spirits, they take care of me.
Right.
That chipmunk sacrificed itself for me so that I could continue on. It took the brunt of the curse.
Interesting.
Ooh. My entire that's interesting. My entire tripod just lifted and moved itself on its own.
For now?
Yeah, just a couple seconds ago. That was
Is that
ooh.
your so your land white or is that your
I think it's the land spirit communicating to me like, I got you. Thank you for mentioning what I did for you. I think that's what that is. Like that is
but I mean, it's interesting how you go about that, like how you talk about the land whites, everything like the spirits of the land, everything like that. I mean,
right.
we still have that also in my practice as well for human and non-human spirits of the land. I think we call them Ewin, but some of them are not even human, right? They're spirits of the land. They could be like considered fae or whatever if you want to look at it.
Yeah.
So
In Norse practice, everything's called a white. That's not human. So you have elves, dwarves, fae folk. All of them are considered a type of white, a type of spirit.
so here we got a good question here about the whites.
What I can't fully read it because of the way my tripod's set up.
Oh,
So
yeah, let's tell you. It says, "What do you offer? Which is the best to give as an offering?"
for my house white, I give milk because that is a traditional thing.
Okay.
But also, what is an offering other than energy, right?
Right.
So I will sing to them and give them my energy. I'll offer them energy directly.
Okay.
Kind of like how we've seen like a Disney princess sing to nature, and nature will respond,
Right.
right? So I will chant and I will give energy to the land as I'm working the land. So as I mow and I sing in order to nourish the land itself.
Okay.
Um, as I do stuff, I'll talk to them too. I'll talk to the land. I'll offer conversation, friendship.
Yeah.
I talk to the poison ivy and it stays where it's at
It's
instead of growing.
interesting you tell me this because it's like when I go out, let's say the crossroads or like a four-way intersection or a four-way stop.
Mm,
That's where like Gua lives, right? The trickster, the road opener, all that good stuff, right? And you can't do
right,
anything else. Well, you can by going through your ancestry first because they will block all that shit. You know,
right,
you got to give them their due and their respect. But the next tier up is a Legua, right? So I mean, I'll be going to the crossroads. I'll be doing things. I'll be talking at the crossroads like I'm having a conversation with somebody.
in the middle of the night underneath the street light, people are like, that strange man is out there again. What's he on drugs?
But then yeah, I'll throw my coins as an offering, as a payment. You
Why
know,
is he
whatever I
throwing
got.
coins at the street sign? He's digging a hole. You think there's treasure?
But yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's like how the whites, the land whites, all that kind of stuff. We all give energy. We all give an
right.
offering. And as we give them reverence and recognition, they protect us and they watch over us and they help us, of course.
We acknowledge them. I'm singing not just to sing. I'm singing with the intent that my energy, my breath, my
Mm,
melodious sound is nourishing the land.
right.
My resonance, I galder, before I come on, I galder the runansus,
Nice.
that energy, that vibration and resonance through myself and the calcification of the pineal gland, but also that resonance goes out into my atmosphere, into the radius around me and changes the frequency of the air.
Exactly.
I can I can specifically speak life into the earth, into the ground, and into my home by doing that resonance.
Mm,
I can do that. That's something that I can do, and that's something that everybody can do. It's
true.
having a relationship with the land, it's having a relationship with these spirits, a reciprocal relationship of understanding that we are a part of the whole
Right.
because of internal processes being representations of the outer.
Mm-hmm.
That you're going to take care of these things as if you're taking care of yourself. That is
Exactly.
a very big difference between, say, what we do in Abrahamic religion of this concept of being in a place of subjection and underneath versus walking with and having a relationship with these spirits in these lands.
Right.
And you'll find more often than not, spirits won't want to mess with you if you have a good relationship with the spirits.
Yeah.
My goal is to be at peace with all things and all people, first and
Right.
foremost. Like we had talked about curses, and I told you, what are you doing as a person? Not you specifically, we're talking about somebody else, but we're like, what is this person doing? What do you have to do to make someone hate you that much to try to curse you? And some people, they're out there and they want to do baneful magic because they like to play God. I understand.
Well, there's a
I
lot of jealousy and envy, you know what I'm saying, which is just so,
right.
you know.
But I want to be at peace with those people. Even though they want to come against me, I want to be at peace with them. I
Right.
don't want to return stuff back at them. I don't want to cast back at them. First off, all that time and energy I could be pouring into baneful magic could be pouring into bettering myself or helping somebody
Yeah.
or helping the spirits get what they need.
It's true.
And ultimately, if you guys do have a very specific problem with a spirit, first and foremost, do everything that you can on your level to not agitate it and
I
do
mean,
some
on your
work.
personal level, you're saying, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, if you really do need help, there's people like Ritz and myself who do consultations.
Mm-hmm.
We can help you get where you need to be. And there's something to be said about being able to do it yourself. Because I always, first and foremost, suggest people to take all the action that they can on their personal level before coming to a person like me. Because I was once where you were at. I didn't know anything. I was very mundane, not magical in the slightest.
Mm-hmm.
So, what me and Ritz do, it's extremely obtainable.
Yeah.
It's extremely obtainable. Now, it's come at some cost, some great personal cost for me and yourself, hasn't it?
Well, we got some praise here. You both rock. You both rock, my friend.
Well, if you think about it, we're just a manifestation of your internal process, Anya. So really, you're the one that rocks.
It's true. She does rock, very much so.
But really, to initiate and to get real progress, right? It can cost. It costs time, costs relationships,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not a painless process.
Yeah.
It's not. Like I've been going through some shadow work where I'm shedding shadow, and it feels like I've cut out my own heart.
We should definitely talk about some more after this. Definitely the shadow work aspect. Because, I mean,
Oh,
I did some
man,
shadow work at one point. I've done it a couple of times, but it's the
it
whole
it should be it
integration.
should be a continual process to get rid of your bullshit, my friend.
Oh, I know. It never
I'm gonna
ends.
tell you one or two times
I'm always going
as
to be more.
friend, as your friend, that's
Mhm.
not enough.
I know.
Time to
I know
step
it's
up.
not. I know it's not. That's why I need a good guided meditation I can do and everything else that comes with the shadow work.
Bro, like honestly, like with the shadow work I do, it's always like I have to make hard choices and deal with psychological bullshit and get real with myself and strip myself of those things. And it is so hard.
Dude,
It
for
is.
me, it was like the guided meditation I did. I had my shadow speak to me very bluntly, very truthfully, very like in my face, and was like, you don't like this, and this about other people. You don't like this, and this about you. How does this make you feel? How what I'm saying? Like just breaking it down more core and more like deeper
Well,
core. You know what I'm saying?
it's very
But
possible
what you need.
that it could have been your higher self making you aware of your bullshit. Yeah.
Mm, I don't know. I mean, the way I know about this meditation is that it's talking directly with your shadow self. Like it was myself, but it was like Ritz being all black. Like there was no shade of light or anything. Just all black
I
talking
mean,
to.
you're pretty dark to start with.
This is black, man. Black like the cell phone screen. Oops.
I am so politically incorrect. It's insane.
It's so bad.
I know. And here's the thing I
I
don't care
do it,
because you know my heart. You know
Yeah,
my heart, man.
I
I
do.
have love for everybody. I have love for my land spirits. If I have love for land spirits, there ain't no way I have anything against any person of corporeal form.
Exactly.
Like point blank period, we all going to die. We all poop. You know, like on my program, I talk about poop about once a week, so I had to come in. Like, but seriously, we have to confront ourselves, and that is the most effective way to deal with spirits, is dealing with ourselves.
Yeah.
Start internally. If people need help with spirits, you can reach out to one of us. Most likely reach out to Ritz. It's his channel. Leave me alone. You know.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not here to take your business. I'm just here to bring you business, my friend.
Aw, thank you.
Of course. That way I can take more naps.
More naps. That's always
More naps.
Yeah.
More naps.
Yeah.
Oh, power. Power. Oh, but I think we're at the end of our time, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've hit that 1 hour mark. I mean, we could keep going on, but
Oh yeah, like our personal conversations are just like this, except
no.
you talk more.
You say talk more? What?
Yeah, you talk more during our personal conversations, but you know that's what.
Fair enough. You know.
So I appreciate everybody. If you want to get a hold of me, get a hold of Ritz, put you in contact with me.
Absolutely.
And I have room for clients and things of that nature. I have a show called Gnosis that's on the Ordo Dracontia YouTube channel with Curtis Joseph. And that's a real fun thing. We're having a show next weekend on the 4th of July about with a great YouTuber named Astrid Coyote. She's got her own channel as well. Check her out. And it's going to be a great thing. And a week after next weekend, we're having Ritz onto the show. So you're going to definitely want to come over, subscribe, and check out that content. It's really great stuff. There's poop jokes. It's fantastic. Nothing like a highbrow magic with lowbrow humor. You know, it's great.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we're signing off now?
Yeah. I mean, you have the button. I can't
do have
do
the
it.
button. I'm just making sure that we're on in accordance to the sign out. So
right. So everybody, just remember to share and like, subscribe, all those things.
Yeah.
You can set up notifications for every time Mr. Ritz goes live, and then come over to the Ordo Dracontia Gnosis show and do the same. You can be in communication, be friends, sing to some plants together. It'd be fun.
Woo. Well, thank you, Anya. It was great having you on. Listening to
fantastic. Thanks for listening to me ramble about.
All right, well, I'm gonna sign this out now. So
all right, sounds good.